Good day, Ruskin enjoyers. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a yapping session. I'm going to talk about the autumn fall seasonal dip. It looks like we are past the worst of it. So if you want to see all the examples, if you just like want to skip ahead to the meat of it, the actual main talk and discussion, scroll down, look at the description. Chapters are there. So let's get started. First thing I want to talk about is the first 24 hours of sales with this Rust ore. There was not that much positivity. Not a lot of people appeared to care about the Rust ore. And it shows, because we have hardly seen that many sales of all the skins here. All of these sold less than 5,000 subscribers. Well, not including those, but you get the idea. It really does look like there's going to be many, many skins here with just about or just less than 10,000 subscribers. Now, compared to the previous weeks, that's pretty nutty. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty silly, but it does look like it's going to probably happen. So, well then, perhaps there might not be that much interest at the moment, but if people start to notice some interesting things about these skins, such as the BSAP with its transparent aim sight, the fact that Night Demon boots and gloves likely will sell less compared to the hoodie and pants in the tier 3, what happens if we see tier 2? Just saying. Very surprised to see Senior Tomato Miner only ended up with just about 3,600 subscribers after 24 hours. That's compared to the previous miners, that's wow. And the Bones fridge, the only transparent fridge, quite literally fully transparent almost, that is the lowest selling skin. But then again, that is number 32 for all fridges that exist in Rust. Number 16 for 2025. It's a little bit ridiculous, but yeah. But anyway, keep an eye on this. Only a few of the skins here are abnormal. A lot of them are regular skins. They will only become marketable when the Rust rotates next week. But we're also going to have the Halloween update next week. We're going to have the first Halloween Rust ore. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. We very likely might have an early Rust rotation next week. So low sales, and well, maybe a lot of people won't realise it's going to be an early Rust rotation next week, potentially. These might have even less sales than we initially realised, so keep an eye on this. If people do want them in the future, there will only be so many of them to go around, and that's interesting, so okay. At the very least, we hope to look forward to a lovely Halloween. I hope you've seen all the skins. There's like over 300 submissions, it's ridiculous, but I will be submitting a lot of short videos. So anyway, let's talk more about all the skins that have been, accepted before these, whether it's just a few weeks ago, earlier this year, or even a few years ago. Right now, it's the autumn fall seasonal dip. So if I could just go to the player count over to here, let's just go do that. So there's the current Rust ore. A few more thousand sales have happened, of course. Now I want to talk about this. In recent Rust rotations and predictions videos, and just in general, I've been talking a lot about the autumn fall seasonal dip. It's something we expect every single year. In short, you may recall we had a pretty decent summer. Lots of people turned up, lots of people were enjoying themselves, but then we suddenly get a big drop off. What happened here? How did we suddenly lose, on average, 17,500 people? September. Kids went back to school. So yes, students had to go back to education. Oh no. And typically that is a noticeable drop. And this is the beginning where we start to see prices drop. Less people playing, less demand for skins, lower skin prices. I've said this many, many times in the past. So basically, what we now anticipate is, now that we're currently in October, which usually tends to be the time period where we see skins at the absolute lowest point, if you got the funds, you got to start looking around and considering investing into certain skins. Or if you were someone who wanted to buy a nice camouflage set, but the prices were too ridiculous in the summer, fair enough, I don't blame you. Now is the time to buy. And we've got some examples to showcase in a bit, don't you worry. But anyway, I hope our current expectation is basically, with the Naval update just around the corner, literally just a few weeks away, so if I could just quickly navigate back over to here, click this. I'm sure you've seen many interesting videos showcasing the boat building, the brand new content that a lot of people have been very eager for. Like, we've known about this since late last year. This has been going on for a very, very long time. And if you go to Rustified, showcases to you like all the new content, what to expect, the brand new islands, the brand new casino. So lots of interesting brand new content that for a fact a lot of people are going to be very eager to see. So looking at the September drop off, very noticeable. But then we had the meta shift update. Even more people turned up for that. Average player count is increasing again. We're seeing something very similar to last year. Quite the stark drop off over to here with September compared to August, July and June. Over 90,000 here, but yeah, down by 14,000. But October had a very interesting update. Lots of people turned up. They stuck around for November. December was very good. And of course, that Christmas period in time, you know, where basically for like 2 weeks, people aren't really like in school that much. People aren't really working that much. It's just nice, it's chill. Are people going to sit down and be with their family? No, they're going to play Rust. It's during that period of time, as we roll into January 2026, for example, this year, going into the next, the January Force Wipe, we anticipate seeing a lot of people turning up because it's just going to keep building up more and more and more. And then could we see something very similar to what we saw last year? A brand new all-time peak player count. That is the hope. That is what we expect. That is what we want to see. So, with the Naval update literally just around the corner, and as I mentioned, with brand new content on the horizon, so I could also mention that the drawbridge that was known about for quite some time, one of the devs on the commits was showcasing their idea. It's now only for boats. They're bringing it in, but it's only for boats. Who knows if they do that for bases in the future, but yes, we have a visual. It's made out of wooden doors. That's cool. So anyway, that's looking pretty sweet. That's looking pretty cool. A lot of people are going to be very eager to want to test this out. Play it, enjoy it, you get the idea. So, knowing that, how much momentum will we have as we steer towards the end of this year? We hope to see quite a lot. And in a very straightforward sense, more people playing the game, more demand for skins, much better demand and prices for the skins as well. So, interesting. I want to go through the skins. I'm going to give you some examples, because if I could quickly navigate over to here, I know I always talk about all the brand new Rustor skins. I showcase them to the best of my ability, and here's the Rustor rotation for October 16, 2025. Remember, I always add chapters in the description. But what I also do is I like to return to every single Rustor after about a couple months. So here's the profit review in regards to what happened with the Rustor of August 14, 2025. Now, there's nothing like spectacular with this Rustor. It's more of a case of when I reviewed all the skins, I went and talked about how low they went and how high they were and whatnot. Basically, I noticed that with this August 14, 2025 Rustor, so if I could quickly navigate over to here, ta-da, wasn't the most significant and amazing and crazy like Rustor. It was only 8 skins. But I did notice that some of the skins have actually started to recover. Let's take a quick look at Legacy Wooden Double Door. I mentioned this in my Rustor rotation video. It's sitting here at $1.72, but then again, this is a straggler. It's actually at around $2 at the moment. This sold for $2.49. This right here was the first Wooden Double Door skin to be accepted in a Rustor this year. I know you're going to mention the charity skin, but that's not marketable, that's not tradable. The Wooden Double Door was the focused item of the month back in August. So we got like 5 of these, didn't we? And it did drop off. When so many skins are accepted in such a short amount of time for an item, it's a struggle for them to maintain interest. It's a struggle for them to maintain the price. So, as expected, as we steer towards the September, October, November period of time, the auto fall seasonal dip, this did drop off. And if we could just scroll all the way down to here, you'll notice that whilst it did trend downwards, it's not going down anymore. So this is something you're going to have to check out yourself. So I reckon you could say it's probably at its lowest around the very beginning of October, around over here. But you can notice it's starting to climb up. Not a huge, massive gain, but it's starting. No longer is it going down. And in many instances, with many other skins, they're just probably stagnating at the moment. From here and now, it can't go any lower. We can only expect prices to improve. And as we get closer and closer to post-Christmas, as we get closer to January 2026, the prices are expected to just keep steadily rising, 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 rising. Now, will it match up to the price that's sold from the Rustor? Well, at the current moment, looking very thin. It looks like it could. A nice transparent wooden double door, could you say no to that? Feel free to comment below. It's not just this. I mean, I could look at like the funerary poncho. Let's take a look at you. So a pretty goofy, transparent design for a poncho skin. We've seen that before, haven't we? But yeah, didn't you sell for $2? Well, as we look over to here, not that many listings, quite thin. Yes, the prices did drop off. Yeah, the bar has kind of decreased. But over to here, as you'll notice, whilst it's not really like noticeably climbing up in price, as I mentioned, it's stagnating. It's not going down anymore. Will it ever recover? Well, we'll have to wait and see. If we see like certain instances like the collection potentially getting more like primitive skins, oh yeah, that'll greatly appreciate it. Oh yes, indeed it will. But you might have noticed as well, when we got like the tier 2 being accepted, it did spike up a little bit. So okay, that was cool, but kind of need to see more of it. But it doesn't look like it's going down anymore. That's a nice little example for just like a random general skin. So what I would say is go look at your inventory, look around, find out if like your skins are actually starting to improve, but you don't want to sell now. You will want to wait until January. As I said, when there's more people around and when there's a lot more demand for skins, prices improve, and we very likely will see brand new all-time high peak prices for most Rust skins. Tends to happen every single year, okay? So, whilst you could be happy that your prices are going to improve, if you've got the funds, you got to start looking around and making some, considerations in regards to whether you're going to buy skins from this year, last year, the year before. If it's an older skin, you can learn from previous instances as the skins go through September, October, November, but then steer towards January. That's going to be super helpful. We've got the Camouflage Skins to take a look at a bit. You'll see that for yourself. But now, I thought we could dabble a little bit into Sinotype Skins. So let's just close these two. And now, let's now switch over to here. So one thing you might notice with this Rust store was the Sinotype Skins. Well, it is expected to return, but the skin creator behind the collection, what he did was he needed to submit a Halloween skin. And this past weekend, nobody was supposed to submit any skins whatsoever. Skin creators are forcibly supposed to have a break. Sounds a bit funny, but yeah, anyway. There will be more Sinotype skins. Whether they'll be accepted, we shall see. But basically, the answer is we got caught up. We caught up to every single skin that was submitted. Now we have Halloween. Then around maybe November Force Wipe. Then we'll probably see the return of Sinotype collection. How many skins will we see in total? That's a good shout. Let's quickly switch over to here. Let's just see how many of them we have in total so far. We currently have 13. I would at least like to see maybe at least 4 more. And if I could ask you, what skins do you want to see being made next? What type of boxes do we need? What are you craving? What are you yearning for? But let's also look at the prices. Down 7, down 5, down 16, down 26, down 47, down 12, down 9, and some of them are doing quite alright. Am I surprised by this? No, not really. On average, I expected during the worst of it, these skins would probably be at around $3 or less. In short, that's what we're seeing right now. But is it always going to stay like this? Doubtful. So, looking at this Rust store, when I did my profit review video, I realised that particular Tools Sinotype large box was the absolute worst performing one. Most likely due to the fact that we had about 44,000 subscribers. Yeah, massive, insane mystery, surely. But anyway, looking at you right now, it has gone a little bit more further down. Over 1,000 listings. This isn't that much of a surprise. Hop it back over to my YouTube. I have recently talked about like the Sinotype collection and my expectations and how it progressed, because I've seen many instances in the past with like other storage collections and saw how they progressed, and I just told you what I was expecting, and kind of matched up to those expectations, hasn't it? So where are those particular videos? Sinotype progress, and when I first initially assumed we're going to get a collection out of it, the preparing for a storage collection. I definitely mentioned how around this period of time you'll see them perform pretty badly. Around the time where we see the actual end of it, people are probably going to be not like unsure what to do. But the expectations are, as we go through the next good time, aka post-Christmas, January 2026, you will not be... You probably won't be very unhappy anymore. That is expected to be the instance where we see these skins actually rising up in price. Kids have Christmas money. And with Skinbox supposedly being removed, they can't just say, oh, can I have all the neon storages, please? No. They're going to have to look for another option. And with the prices down at the moment, with how these are currently performing, well, what do you reckon's going to happen next? Now, some people probably already have like the neon storage collection and whatnot, but remember, with the player counts just gradually increasing every single year, there's always newer people. Kids. Anyway, what you see here, it is expected that as time goes on, it will eventually start rising and rising and rising. We've said this many times, but this is the first particular instance where we've gone through a bad time, the autumn fall seasonal dip for 2025, but we're about to see the first good time, post-Christmas 2026. You've got the funds, and you wanted to buy this whole collection, now's the time to do it. So, tools. What happened to you in the past? Well, we've had some instances of dumping. We've got some pretty big fat walls of like listings. This is a problem. This is going to take a while for this to actually rise up in price. But the funny thing is as you scroll down, you realise, oh, it's actually very thin, all the way up to $2.50. Huh. And then there's 800 listings there. Ooh. As we go through, the next several weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets chipped away. I wouldn't be surprised if we return back up to its restore price. At least I certainly hope so. So yeah, honestly, look at all the Sinotype skins now. If you truly want to get the full set, now's probably the best instance. Now's probably the best time. So, point made. And if you're going to sit there and say, well, what if I want to make an investment? Yeah, jump in, go nuts. Several of the skins here are cheaper. Yeah, some of them are kind of like a little bit higher in price. But, you know, this is down, that's up. It equalizes. Firearms is still a bit questionable, but yeah, that was the very first one. If you desperately need it, go for it. Or maybe just pick up, you could actually pick up a Neon Guns box. It's actually cheaper, I believe, so it's up to you. Cool. So we kind of like talked about that. Sinotype is expected to return for November, as is the small props collection from Mr. McGwamp. I know for a fact that he's working on a tea box. So, ooh, okay, interesting. Keep an eye out for that. So, yeah, they just have to submit more skins. But Sinotype is expected to finish with just a few more acceptances. Chances are it might only finish with just one more. I did ask for like a boat-themed aquatic sort of box, especially with the Naval update just around the corner. You might need like boat parts and whatnot to store away. Yeah, well, there you go. Anyway, so feel free to comment below what you'd like to see more of in regards to the Sinotype collection and the small props, small box collection. Now's the time to start talking about like the camouflage skins. So I've definitely talked about this before, going over the camouflage skins. Talk about how maybe it's the best time to jump in and make some purchases. I'm not joking. Like if you go over to here, type in autumn fall seasonal dip. So if I could just quickly go to the search function. And remember, if you can remember a video I talked about and yapped about, you could actually just search. Click the little like magnifying glass here. I'm going to search for autumn fall dip. It's all the keywords. What you'll see is previous instances where I've literally just talked about this. Here you go. Rust skins affected by autumn fall seasonal dip. Examples and explanation. Oh, that just so happens to be last year. Last year when I'm talking about what to expect and talking about how to capitalize. Well, I guess you could say this is a bit of a sequel. So, hopping back over to here, Whiteout hoodie. Whiteout hoodie is sitting here at just under $18, but back in the summertime, oh, that was doing a lot better. Scroll. Well, it was. As you'll see, it's gradually been rising, and with this most recent summertime, oh, that went up all the way up to about just over what, like, we're talking about comfortably over $20, but then it's dropped off. However, what do we notice? Enhance. Whoa! Is it still going down in price? No, it's actually starting to improve. If you were looking to buy yourself a lovely whiteout set, now's probably the time. Because that's not going down anymore. And you might sit there and say, oh, no, I missed when it was at its cheapest. And I assure you, the prices it will be when it's January time will be much higher than this. Well, not that much higher, but you get the idea. It's already like quite a pricey skin. But don't be surprised if you see it go whoop, to a new high point. As I said earlier. Look at last year, for example. So this is the summer of 2024, and it's selling for about $12. Autumn fall seasonal dip. Boop. And that doesn't even look that bad, does it? No, but it still happened. And then we roll into January 2025. Oh, hang on a minute. That was very close to the high point that we saw for the summer. Yeah, it was close to that, but obviously the summer went even higher. The camouflage skins, they just keep rising up in price more and more and more, slowly, gradually, but it's expected. So what we're seeing right now, the dip. And what we're expecting in the future, the rise. You don't have to buy a set because you want it. You can still make an investment. I'm just saying. So, yeah, Whiteout hoodie. You're a pretty interesting option. An example. We can also look at the Whiteout coffee can. That doesn't make you cold. People have sought after that. They've craved it. They wanted it. And that went all the way up to about $50 earlier this year. During the summer, you rose up very high. But now you have dropped off. It does look like you've stopped going down. And it does look like it's starting to rise. So this peaked at almost $50. And right now, as you see, it's sitting here about $43. A $7 drop? Well, yeah. Still pretty significant. And you can still save quite a fair bit of money if you consider buying your Whiteout skins now. Point made? Yeah. And then over to here, we also happen to have the Whiteout kilt. $23. But back in the summer, as you'll notice, it was definitely a lot higher. So, yeah, that was pushing up to about $26, $27. Again, maybe it's not that much, but this is how it's going to be for maybe a short while, and then it's going to start rising up again. And it's expected. It's going to go higher than this. It's expected. It's going to reach a new all-time high price. I wonder when it eventually stops, but with the lack of new alternative white clothing and armor pieces, it's not a surprise this keeps happening. So again, last year, how did that turn out? Rose up quite nicely up to about August, drops off as we enter September and October, and it rises back up again. So around here, it's sitting at about $18 to $20, goes down to about $15, rises up around January time, up to about $22, about $23. So yeah, interesting. Consider the option. Now, if you don't really want to consider like jumping into Whiteout collection, if you want to save a few more pennies, look for other options. You've got like the comics collection that you could consider. You've got Thundergold collection, so we could have a quick little look at that as well. Alternative options do tend to rise up in price as much as well. Like, as we just mentioned, the Whiteout coffee can, how much did that sell for back in the summer? Almost $50. The Thundergold coffee can, oh yes, didn't really sell that much. As you'll notice, it's been steadily increasing in price ever so nicely with only 63 listings. We'll look at the sales history because, oh my, what happened there? A lot of people realised, I don't really feel like spending $50 on a Whiteout coffee can. If only there was another option. Oh, there you go. Thundergold gets bought out and it almost reaches $20. Right now, as you can see, we're only at about $11 almost. You look at all the listings and it's very thin. What do you reckon that you might want to consider doing? Well, it's up to you. Just going to say that if we're expecting Whiteout to constantly keep going up in price, what do we just insinuate? People look for other options. And well, if the other options start getting bought out, what happens to them? They also go up in price. So, of course, this also applies to, of course, like the rest of the Thundergold collection. And as I said, the comics collection. And until we see, like, another option, that's it. Like, this is all we really have. So, it's silly, but yeah, that's all we have. The hoodie, the pants, the boots, the gloves. Got pretty much nearly everything with Thundergold, except the hoodie and pants, unfortunately. Well, we could probably anticipate another attempt for that. We'll see. But just to reiterate, looking back over to here, as you'll notice, it's not going down anymore. It's not going down anymore. It wants to rise. We're getting closer and closer and closer to January. So I'm pretty sure you know what to consider doing now. The choice is up to you. Forest Raiders. These got pretty ridiculous around April time. With the anticipation for the jungle update, a lot of green clothing and armor, it went up to ridiculous prices. We can definitely, we can agree on that, yeah. So funnily enough, the peak prices for all the green skins this year, well, that happened around April. But when the actual jungle update came out, people didn't really care that much and the prices dropped off. But I've got to show this. Forest Raiders, face masks, that reached up to about $30. And then once the hype died down with jungle, it went down. We had a bit of a slump around June time, didn't we? There was a lot of hype for the summer. June actually slipped and dropped. Prices did improve around July. We actually peaked in price here around August. But it's been dropping. And as you'll notice, at the moment, it still looks like it's dropping, but it looks like it's also about to stop. It's looking like it's just about to start to stagnate. So, once again, if you're considering to buy the Forest Raiders collection, well, now's probably the time. Do you have a spare $20? So, over to here as well, Forest Raiders hoodie, just about $21. And of course, as you'll notice, around August time, April time reaches its peak, drops a bit more around June, peaks again at around August, again not the all-time high, but it does rise, and then of course it has dropped off. But that is also looking like it's starting to stagnate. It also looks like it's just about to start going back up again. Now, I've said this many times, in regards to green clothing and armor, you've definitely got like other options. And with a recent tier 3 set that we saw, yeah, it definitely it opened our eyes to realise, oh, hang on a minute. For a considerably cheaper price, you can make a fairly decent budget green option. It still costs quite a few pennies, but it's definitely quite, considerably cheaper compared to a full set of Forest Raiders, so don't want to talk about that in a bit. $36 here, scroll, and as you'll notice, oh wow, that rose up insanely in anticipation for April, the jungle update, but since then it has also dropped off. So if you're thinking about spending about $35 for this, well, it's the time to do so. But as I insinuated, with the Temple Tier 3, we have to consider what you want to do with your funds. Temple. Why did I type in Temple Tier 3? Just type in Temple and you'll see it there. I'm so dumb sometimes. And yet you watch me. So you might have noticed this has actually dropped off a fair bit. And I'm not too surprised by that. Some people panic. Some people question everything. And they want to unload their stock instantly. The absolute worst time to sell your skins is October time. And yet people still do it. So what are we here for? What's wrong? Well, nothing's wrong. If we don't see a collection continuation for this, I can still see it working out quite nicely. Because if you look at all the other green options for some tier 3, this is actually one of the best. And also the most affordable. $2.20 here, and then over to here we also see $2.10. So quite recently, if we go to look at all the recent videos Hedge has made, more specifically the shorts, I've been making quite a fuss about saving the pennies and considering looking at the temple skins. Now, that's tier 2 right there. Still hoping to see that happen. November 4th, right? I believe, maybe. $50 green camouflage budget set. See this right here? I'll link that in the description. You could go see that for yourself. That's using the temple tier 3. And then also, where else is like the straightforward temple tier 3? Oh no, there you go. Temple tier 3 versus Forest Raiders. So I'll put this in the description. You can tell me what you think in regards to what you see there. And you can see this as well. Direct comparison. Cheap budget green set right there. That only costs about $20. And yes, instead of spending like how much money on the clothing for Forest Raiders, consider looking at flashbacks instead. But like we just saw a little bit earlier, right? When the cheap option gets noticed a whole lot more and people appreciate it a whole lot more, or after pointing out that you can wear this with Temple Tier 3 and it's a very good comparison in regards to Forest Raiders, yeah, it rises up in price. This has been very cheap for a very long time. It looks like people only now realizing that this is very comparable to Forest Raiders hoodie and pants. Pants have always been pretty good, and it's nice to see that they're even improving even more. But yeah, does that look like it's going down in price? No, it's only increasing. And with Forest Raiders starting to rise up in price as well, well, there you go. So if you're going to panic about this, I don't think there's any point. People will look at it, people realize it's very useful, it's very approachable, it's very affordable, and you will see that slowly rise up in price as well. So that's what I like to see. That's what I'm expecting to see. But hey, maybe it only goes up to about $3.50. Oh no. But maybe the next year it only goes up to about $4.50. Oh no. But then maybe the next year it probably goes up to only about $6. Oh no. But then again, it went from what, like 2 to 6. Hey, if you don't think it's if you don't think it's worth it to chase after it, then that's fine. You don't have to chase after every single thing. I'm just pointing out there's some interesting things cooking. Okay. Let's close this. Let's close this. Let's look at Desert Raiders. You know I'm going to mention Sam Rhino. But anyway, Desert Raiders Tier 3 was really ridiculous. If I could go over to here, if I could point out Desert Raiders collection, even during October time, this has been pretty wild. Yeah. During the summer, why can't I find Desert Raiders? Come on, let's see, man, wake up. Thank you. There you go. If you were to exclude the weapons, so that's about $6, that's about almost $4, that's about... So you're looking at about $15 remove. All of this is $250, even whilst it's October time. But back in the summer, both of the tier 3 pieces here, together they cost about $130. Has it dropped off a little bit? Yes, it has. It's October. Prices have dropped, but it's expected to recover. All of that's looking pretty sweet, but then you look at the actual like prices as they were, yeah, it has dropped off. And again, it's another instance of, if you truly want it, now's the best time. And then over to here, we have the Desert Raiders hoodie. Sorry, I almost said forest. Yeah, that dropped off. Whoa. But again, it's another instance of, well, if you just look at the past, look at all the previous summers, autumn, fall seasonal dips, and then post-Christmases. Well, here we are, August 2024. It peaks up to about, what, $15? It drops off to about, like, just barely over 10. Then post-Christmas, it rises all the way up to almost 22. So yeah, look at the drops, the rises, the drops, the rises, the drops. Again, June time, things were really weird. I have no explanation as to why that happened. But yes, you can see it has dropped off. Does it still look like it's going down in price? What do you reckon? So yeah, just pointing it out. And then over to here, Desert Raiders pants, $30+. Scroll, 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 scroll. As you'll see, pretty much the exact same thing. So much to learn from with the history. And just by looking at this, what do you see? Is that still going down in price? Kind of looks like it. But regardless, now's a great time to jump in and buy into it. Alternatively, you could consider some other options. So we've progressed quite nicely with the, what was it called? What's the collection with all the bones? We've got the boots recently. Damn it, Hedge. Right, just look at all the recent boots, you'll find it. I'm talking about the Fallen collection. There you go. Yep. I've done some comparisons. I've talked about how the Fallen collection can be seen as a potential very budget option to wear instead of like Desert Raiders hoodie and pants, the boots, the gloves. You get the idea. Now, the price is very approachable. But when you're up close, you are noticed. You do have quite a bit of red. A lot of people see that. A lot of people just like, no, I'm dismissing it. No. But I have done some comparisons, and I do think it does compare quite nicely. From a bit of a distance, you can't really notice that much of a difference. And hey, you might notice we don't have tier 3. So over to San Rhino we go. This isn't really increasing that much. This is also dropping off. Like, this actually peaked back in like April, May time, which was really strange. So here you go, $5.50 almost, looking very thin. And over to here, we also happen to have the chest plate, just under $7. How's this performed as of recent? It's actually going down. Yeah. So this peaked up very nicely up to a point, and it stopped, and it's kind of going down a little bit. And then over to here, you should expect the exact same thing. Yep, still going down for some reason. But if you were to go over to here, once again, Hedge with his many short videos showcasing some nice comparisons. Oh, look. Cheap Desert versus Desert Raiders Camo. Oh, well, looks like we've got another video for the description. So scroll down, you'll see that as well. Please offer me your opinions. Comment below. Is it as good in comparison to Desert Raiders? And you might sit there and say, no, Desert Raiders clearly is much better. Okay. But if I was to sit here and tell you this probably costs no more than about $20, and right now Desert Raiders costs about $250, what's your answer then? Is it worth it in comparison to the price? So, okay, cool. So, yes, there's plenty of options, and I really do feel like that may be around December time, just before we have the actual like January post-Christmas time. I probably need to make a video showcasing some nice budget options for green, white, and of course, desert. So, cool. That's pretty much everything that needs to be yapped about. Prices have dropped off. If you want camo skins, jump in. If you think Sinotype looks interesting, by all means, jump in. If anything you think was performing very nicely earlier this year around the summertime, but it's dropped off, maybe now's the time to jump in. Heat Seeker SAR is right here on the front page. This is the SAR with the most transparency we've ever seen for a semi-automatic rifle, okay? Just under $6. Scroll. Does it look like it's still going down in price? Well, it actually looks like it's only just about starting to rise back up again. So if you think, you know what? If we could see this rise back up in price up to around maybe $8 again, or maybe $10, who knows? Maybe that might have a nice, rise in price. Might end up being a pretty interesting investment. The choice is up to you. But if we do see another Twitch drop, like we did with the Bellum Twitch event earlier this year, a good couple months back, that Twitch drop SAR had the exact same amount of transparency, and look at what it did to it. Oh no! God, imagine if you jumped in and bought a bunch here, and then you sold around here. Ooh. Anyway, that actually looks like it's going to be its lowest point for the year. Got close, but it doesn't look like we're still going down. So point made, understood. So go take a look at all the skins that interested you. Make some considerations. The time is now to make a move, okay? So I think that's pretty much everything I needed to say. So what I'm going to also point out, Halloween next week. You should keep an eye out for all the skins that are submitted. I'm probably expecting at best only about 12 skins for the first Halloween rush store. We're also seeing the introduction of a brand new Halloween wallpaper. And also, October 23, next week, we're also going to see the Warhammer DLC pack being introduced. Now, there is apparently a change that's just happened. So, well, not just happened, earlier today. The shotgun is now confirmed to be a pump shotgun. So, yeah, it's not a spaz, it's a pump shotgun. Damn. All right, then. Well, at the very least, you do still get the first ever chainsaw skin. So, all right, we'll still accept it. Plus, it's still a very nice looking hazmat skin, just saying. So that's coming out the same day we have the Halloween update. Things are looking pretty interesting. Things are looking pretty cool. So what do you expect from here and now? Don't sit there and say you're convinced. Sit there and say what you think is personally going to happen. I know a lot of people have been very upset with the recent changes to the blueprints. It's funny because when it happened, and it's still happening, right? The Heatseeker revolver, oh my, oh come on now. Heatseeker revolver reached a brand new all-time high price, and it just keeps on increasing because people keep buying it because people have they can only get revolvers. I know there's some changes. I think with the patch, it has been it's a little bit more helpful, but you get the idea. So a lot of people jumped onto that. Funnily enough, that's already reached its all-time high peak price because there's a huge demand for revolvers. People couldn't get past tier 1. So yeah, there you go. Looking pretty sweet. Sometimes random things change and skins are impacted. So cool. Naval update. We'll see how that turns out. We'll see how many people turn up. I'm very curious. And by all means, keep an eye out for the short videos Hedge puts up because he's always putting up short videos. Insightful, showcases, just downright silly things sometimes. You get the idea. And by all means, keep an eye out for all the Halloween short videos we'll be putting out, okay? So, thank you very much for watching me. I greatly appreciate it. Keep an eye on the Rust store as well. The skins, they might not have had a ton of interest, but because of that, sales are only looking a whole lot more bleak. And whilst that might be bad for the skin creators that made it, for us the investors, things are looking pretty interesting. A sheer lack of sales definitely can work out pretty interestingly in the future, alright? Perhaps I might need to make a video talking about that. Maybe, alright? That's definitely an interesting consideration. So, anyway, that's pretty much everything. Maybe I have one more surprise for you. Now we know it's the truth.